Happy Advent to you and your family. This second week of Advent, Thursday. Today, the gospel, Jesus, we see God throughout the ages, the God of yesterday, today, and always. We see it in the words of Jesus, who talks about John the Baptist, who says, of those born of women, none greater than John the Baptist. And it makes you think, wow, of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, David, all those who were born, John the Baptist, the greatest. But I think Jesus is drawing us in because it's the second statement that he says that should really grab our attention. He says, but as great as John the Baptist is, and Abraham and Isaac and Ezekiel and Isaiah, the least of those in the kingdom of heaven is greater than them. Wow. The least of the kingdom of heaven are greater than him. To me, what that speaks about is hopefully and should also hopefully stir in you a desire for heaven. To be in a place where we would be the greater than John the Baptist and Isaiah and Ezekiel. Wow, what a place heaven must be. And that hopefully should help to stir up the desires of our own heart. That be our desire, heaven itself. What a blessing it is that in this Advent season that we were called maybe to get rid of the things that get in the way of heaven, get in the way of our desire to be with our Lord. Because the next sentence that's going to come up is it says, in the kingdom of heaven, we see violence. And I was like, well, what does that mean, Deacon Tim? It means that heaven was for the strong. It's not for the weak. We have to endure the things that we endure. Look at John the Baptist. He put aside the temporal things to keep his focus on heaven, to know where Christ had called him to and to follow it. So for us, we're called to do the same, to put aside the temporal things, to not get caught up in the pettiness of the world, of maybe the differences that we have. Maybe we're being called to something greater this Advent season. I would hope maybe for the rest of this Advent that we would make a commitment to, as things come up in our life, maybe a difficult moment, a difficult situation, even a difficult person comes up in our moment, that instead of holding on to anger or resentment, instead of holding on to hostility, instead lift that moment, that person up to our Lord in prayer. To simply say that I want that desire to be of heaven, that I don't want there to be any differences, any impediment, that it's like I want to focus on you. This Advent, let's put aside those things that get in the way of heaven and let that be our true desire.